Hey golfers, and welcome back to the Second Swing YouTube channel. Very exciting day today. I'm here at the Minnetonka store in the tour van, and I'm joined by a very, very special guest today. As you've probably seen already on our channel, today is the big day. It's Titleist TSR pre-order day, and so we're very excited about that, of course, at Second Swing. And we have Josh Talge with us today from Titleist at TPI. Very excited to have him with us today, and I know he's a very busy man today, so very thankful that he's able to take some time with us today. So Josh, first of all, thank you for joining. How are things going today? And I just wanted to again reiterate, we are so excited about TSR, and we're already getting the fittings happening today.
Oceanside. It's a big day. We've got a bunch of fittings going on because today is really the launch of TSR drivers and fairways, and you can go into any golf shop and get fit for them. Obviously, we want everyone watching this to head on over to Second Swing and get fit for their drivers and fairways. And what's cool about it is if you're fit today, you can get those orders in, and we'll ship them as soon as possible. So you're going to have those products, likely in the next couple of weeks.
Right, which is an awesome accomplishment for one, because of the difficult times with COVID the last couple of years has really kind of put a wrench in things, if you will, in the industry, and getting clubs to golfers, and for you guys to be able to get those clubs out so quickly is already a big step forward in making the TSR launch so successful already. So kudos to you guys on that. But kind of getting into the tech here, I think that's what a lot of people watching are really interested in, is what's TSR all about, and the differences maybe between the previous generations, specifically the TSI. So let's get into just an overarching view maybe of TSR as a whole. What is different about TSR, drivers, fairway woods, compared to TSI?
Yeah, we try to keep it pretty simple, Drew. We talked about this when I saw you, I think last month in Minneapolis, is we like to boil it down to just a couple of keywords. And when we think about drivers, that's faster, longer, straighter. Those are the three keywords. And what have we done to do that? Well, faster, we want to make sure we're making everything as aerodynamic as possible. So some of that has to do with shaping. You'll note that instead of having a teardrop shape, we've actually implemented what we call a boat tail, a little raised area in the back here. The other thing is, and you'll see this firsthand when you go into golf shops, is how clean the overall look of the driver is. And we did that because anything you put on the sole of the driver is going to actually interrupt laminar flow. What that means is it's going to catch the air and it's going to make it slower, right? It's a penalty, anything you put on the bottom here. So there's a reason why these drivers kind of look like a Tesla. And it's not just because they're pretty, it's because we really want to make sure that you can swing it faster. And our robot testing shows us that on average, if you swing it around 100 miles an hour, we're getting half a mile an hour of swing speed just because of the aerodynamic changes we've made to the driver. And that translates to about 3/4 of a mile of ball speed. So as I like to joke with people, without doing any yoga, or you can still eat pizza, you can swing this driver a little bit faster than your current one. And that's going to help you get more ball speed. And that's where the idea of longer comes in, right? So what have we done to make these products longer? How do you help the golfer hit it further down the fairway? That really has to do with face design. We've had a couple extra years to work with these exotic materials, these aerospace grade titaniums like ATI 425. First time we did ATI 425, it was really this idea of, hey, we need to solve a problem. When we created TSI, we had a driver design, a face design that was really, really good. But when we modeled it on computers, it worked great. When we tried to make it in real life, there weren't materials strong enough or flexible enough to withstand the pounding that it was taking. And so ATI was our solution to that problem. Now, fast forward 2 years, and we've had a chance to actually look at boundary conditions. What can we do with ATI 425? How far can we push this? And that's where the real excitement's coming in, because now we've got two great face designs on TSR2 and TSR3 that really maximize ball speed. So for TSR2, all across the hitting area, that's where you really are maximizing it. Then as you get into TSR3, we actually have a speed ring design that makes center face even faster than TSI3. Why is that important? Because as you miss center, it still gives you a nice curvature as you go across from the hottest spot to as you go down further away from the center. So we've got really good speed in both products. Mm-hmm. And then finally, and I'll just mention it briefly, on TSR4, again, we've got movable weight technology on all of our products. We want head weight adjustability. We've got independent loft and line, because we want to be able to have you get everything out of these products. And that's why, don't take my word for, hey, which driver should you be playing? I want you to go see competent fitters. Like you guys have got some of the best fitters in the country. Go see, I love to tell people, why guess when you can know, right? You're guessing right now. If we're just talking about like which driver is right for you, you'll know if they come see one of your fitters.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the cool things that you mentioned, I really take a note of with TSR, is that, you said it looks like a Tesla. And I think that's really the big difference to me visually, looking from TSI to TSR, is that especially the sole of the club is really cleaned up. And then, as you mentioned, it does generate more club speed for you as well. And I think that was one of the things we even noticed in our initial testing. And then one other note is you mentioned the shape of the TSR2, a little more compact, kind of a pear shape almost, if you will. And we were actually doing testing, and our fitter Thomas Campbell was hitting and didn't realize he was hitting the TSR2. We actually thought it was the 3, and so that's I kudos to you guys on that cleaner look of that kind of 2 model. That's been maybe the high MOI design, if you will. So and then
when you have a max driver, they tend to get kind of big, right? And sometimes almost a little triangular shaped or trilobular, as R&D might say. And we wanted to make sure that we could really give it a beautiful look at a dress, right? And have it be something that when you sit down, you immediately got a lot of confidence in, but also the best players in the world are going to say, like, that looks like a beautiful compact driver with a nice high face, a more pear shape, which is what they love to describe a driver as. And so there was a lot of refinements that went in that. Want to make sure we could sweep the toe a little bit, kind of cut a little bit of weight here in the skirt, and really give you a beautiful look for both TSR2 and TSR3.
Mm-hmm. And then, one of the things too that's so great about this line is, like, so you cover, even like with the TSR4, you cover those golfers that fit, uniquely into that driver, that, the lower or the smaller club head size, and generate just a ton of spin. And then obviously the 3 and the 2, you cover basically every golfer that's out there. So with that said, with the driver, let's kind of maybe start to wrap up the driver discussion by just going through each model, maybe giving us some types of golfers that would fit, generally, of course, into the TSR2, TSR3, and TSR4. With the caveat that actually a full confidence in knowing which one is for you is probably going to be best in a fitting, but there's definitely those kind of niches of golfers that you were looking for with these models.
Yeah, we certainly design them for archetypes, right? And then we want you to come in and try them firsthand so you see what happens. But when we think of TSR2, again, this is our max driver. This is max distance, max forgiveness. This is for the player who hits it all over the club face. Don't feel bad if you're that player. I know that player really well. But that's really what this club is designed to do, right? And there's so many golfers out there who need that. They need that stability at impact. And that's really where this multi-plateau face, again, using these really cool materials like ATI 425, have helped us retain ball speed and really extend the sweet spot of this golf club. Then you get into TSR3, right? The number 1 driver across all the global tours. It's something that we're very proud of. Beautiful shape, beautiful sound. And this is for a player who's a little bit more consistent in their strike location. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're always hitting center face. You might always be up more towards the toe or maybe a little more towards the heel. Well, this driver gives us the opportunity to shift and really align CG with your impact location to make sure that you're going to get the utmost out of the performance of this product. And that's why it's so popular on tour. It's also probably, we think, the prettiest shape when it comes to a driver and feel. So that's where TSR3 comes into play. And then you mentioned TSR4. Now this is a little bit more niche. Maybe it's 10, 12% of golfers are out there, but this is an ultra low spin driver. You're looking at a 430cc head. The other 2 drivers are both 460. It's literally a mini 3 as far as shape goes, just shrunk down 10%. Mm-hmm. But with the big weight in front here, that really moves the CG forward. That helps us dramatically lower spin. So if you're a player who's spinning at over 3,000 RPMs because of the way you deliver the golf club, this is an alternative for you. This could be a way for you to significantly reduce spin, which is going to increase your overall consistency and distance potential. As far as changes to this model, we've now got a front and back weighting system, which allows us, and especially when you go and get a proper fitting, we have a full weight kit for you to really mess around and figure out how much spin do we really want to take off? How much weight do we want to put in front? How much weight do we want to put in back to really maximize your spin reduction and your speed gains? And when I talk about fitting, I think it's so important that you look at all the elements we have. We've got independent loft and lie with our hosel adjustment. We've got head weight adjustability, which we think is really important. Stephanie Luttrell, who heads up our Metalwoods team, loves to say, hey, I want golfers to swing the heaviest hammer they can, right? But there's going to come a point where we make that head heavy enough where you're not able to swing it as fast, and that's where we move off that. But if you think about it, it makes sense, right? Add more weight, bring more kinetic energy to that strike, and you've got more distance, right? And so headway
Right.
adjustability really important to us. And then, of course, we mentioned on TSR3 the ability to move the weight around and really align it with your impact location to see whether or not that helps you significantly improve your ball speed.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cool things that you mentioned when you stopped over here was kind of maybe I don't want to say unorthodox, but kind of a different way to look at the fitting for the center of gravity adjustments on that TSR3. It's just kind of aligning it with, the average strike location, if you will, and really, basically, you then can generate more energy at impact to the ball. So there's plenty of ways to gain performance through the TSR drivers. And I will say too, for the viewers that are kind of loyal to our channel, if you haven't yet, look at the swing report video. It's already up, and then also we have some more comparisons coming already on the channel soon in the next few days, where we highlight that performance in the TSR drivers. And my word, we did see some really good stuff from the TSR drivers. So looking forward to that. Now, Josh, if you don't mind, we can go to fairway woods. And because this is always an interesting one, right? This is the the club in the bag that golfers maybe keep in there the longest. They kind of keep it maybe longer than drivers, longer than irons, and it's also one that might be even tougher to hit for a lot of amateur golfers versus other clubs in the bag. So TSR fairway woods, talk to us about those and how you're able to improve that performance for golfers.
Well, I mentioned when we think of drivers, we've got three key words, which is faster, longer, straighter. Again, we've got three keywords for fairways. And that's high, far, forgiving, right? Because that's exactly what every single player is looking for when it comes to fairways. And so thankfully, Tom Bennett, who leads our engineering team on fairways, they've absolutely knocked it out of the park when we look at the fairways we have. We've got our lowest CGs we've ever had in fairways, which really helps the ball get up. And we have our highest overall MOI designs, making them the most forgiving fairways we've ever had. So when we put these things not only on Launch Monitor, but we go outside and hit them, that's what the tour pros are so excited about, is they're getting tremendous launch, great peak height with these products, and they're so incredibly forgiving across the face. It makes it the easiest to hit fairways we've ever had.
And one of the things too that we should talk about is the TSR2 Plus. So that's a pretty new idea for the Titleist fairways, the Plus model, kind of an off the tee club. So talk to me about how that club, kind of the concept came up, and the work that went into it, and how you guys came up with that idea to add to this line in the TSRs.
Yeah, well, for Titleist fans, they'll know that we typically have a 2 model and a 3 model, and we make a ton of different loft availability. Right, so we'll say we got a 13.5, we got a 15 degree, 16.5, 18 degree, 21 degree, because we want to be able to have almost like a 2 wood, a 3 wood, a 4 wood, a 5 wood, and a 7 wood. We've got all those options there. And as we were exploring, what could we do to really make sure that with the strong 3 wood, almost like that 2 wood of a TSR2, what could we do to really push the boundaries of high launch and making sure it was really forgiving? And the team came up with a slightly larger concept. So this is TSR2 at 175 cc, a very classic shape and size. This is TSR2 Plus. It's a 13 degree, it's 190 cc's. So this is definitely not a mini driver, but it is a slightly oversized fairway wood. But it's a beautiful shape. It's something that we're very excited about. And what we really love about it is it does exactly what we talked about, high, far, and forgiving. So right now it only comes in one loft, which is a 13 degree. But remember, we do have a loft sleeve, so you can actually add up to a degree and a half or more loft to this product and really get it launching high in the air, and it gives you kind of that powerful 3 wood. So that's TSR2. Again, only in one loft for now, but we're pretty intrigued by this size and shape. It could be something down the road that we continue to look at.
And so one of the things, again, what's that?
Well, I was going to say, do you want me to talk about the base models, the TSR2 and TSR3?
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah.
So with TSR2, again, much like TSR2 driver, this is the fairway for anyone who hits it all over the club face, who really needs some forgiveness with the fairway. It's incredibly forgiving. Again, very sleek aero package that we have in the driver we've got here as well. And what we're seeing is tremendous uptick here. I mentioned that we make this available in everything from a 15-degree 3-wood all the way down to a 7-wood. Very popular for all of our teams and all of our fittings. And then if you go to the opposite side, you go to TSR 3, probably the prettiest shape of any fairway we've seen in years. It's actually built on the foundations of, we've got some fairway aficionados out there. It's built off of the old 906 F2. Beautiful shape, almost like a tour spoon. Yeah, we're bringing it all the way back here today, Drew. And this, again, just like the TSR 3 driver, allows us to do CG movement. We've got this really cool elevator system that raises up out of the bottom of the club and allows you to move the CG towards the toe or towards the heel. We've increased the amount of movement from prior generation, as well as the number of stops we have in here. So we used to have 3 positions. Now we've got 5 positions, just like the driver. Really allows you to dial in your performance when it comes to a fairway wood. And again, just like we talked about with driver, we've got head weight adjustability on all the fairways as well. And then a real reason why I want everyone to make sure you go see a fitter, we've got that independent locked and lie adjustability. And that's really going to help when it comes to making sure we get you a 3-wood or 5-wood or 7-wood that you're really, really comfortable with.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's probably a good reason that the SureFit hosel hasn't really changed a ton over the years from Titleist, because it's really effective. 16 unique loft and lie settings that our fitters have been using in every Titleist fitting that we've had in the store, or even in our online system as well. They're able to use that chart and dial in somebody. So really, I mean, that's been a mainstay for us here in the fitting bay. So with the fairway woods, then one last thing on the fairway woods in particular, I wanted to just go over. I think you obviously touched on a lot of these things before talking about each model, but run through the player types again, like we did with driver. Kind of go through the fairway woods: TSR2, TSR2 Plus, and the TSR3.
Yeah, I would say TSR2. This is for anybody who needs forgiveness in a fairway. Exceptionally forgiving fairway, very high launching, very easy to play. And I think that's going to be the majority of golfers out there. As you get into TSR2 Plus, hey, it's kind of small right now. It's only a 13-degree, which I did mention you can loft up all the way up to 14 and a half. So it's going to fit a variety of players. This is really good for the player who likes to hit 3-wood off the tee just as much as they like to hit it off the turf. And then finally, TSR3, a little bit more of a lower flighted, a little lower spinning 3-wood that gives you a chance to really be a little more versatile and work it both directions. And again, be able to align your CG with your impact location. So really great options. I would say one thing that's helpful for anyone listening to this is go see a fitter. We have so many people that come in, that watch videos, that have read the website, and they're like, oh, I'm pretty sure I'm a TSR2 driver person and a TSR3 fairway person. And then we end up fitting them into the exact opposite. It happens so many times. And that's why it's really helpful to have these options. Go in, see them firsthand, and really figure out what's going to help you maximize your overall performance. And maybe the last thing I'd leave you with is we want to help you play better golf, right? Everything we do is around consistency. So consistency of ball speed, consistency of spin, making sure that you're hitting that fairway more often. Again, we want to gain you distance. We want to get you speed, but it doesn't do any good if you can only do that 1 out of every 10 swings, right? You're probably going to hit driver up to 10 times around, and we want to make sure that each and every time you do that, you've got the utmost confidence, and that's what TSR brings, especially one that's well fit.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I obviously for the amateur golfer, that's a huge hit, but we did want to, kind of highlight your tour success early on with TSR. And you mentioned earlier with the drivers, TSR is already the most popular club in the driver and fairway category on tour. And so that's a huge testament to you guys already for getting, how successful that is and getting your tour pros in that right away. And clearly some really good feedback there. I kind of wanted to maybe let you talk about that tour adoption process and kind of, how, maybe the feedback that you did get from your staffers and maybe non-staffers as well, that when they saw these clubs, they're like, wow, I got to put this in the bag right away.
Well, we're really fortunate that we've got a great staff, and we work with them throughout the design process. So players like Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas, Will Zalatoris, and Cameron Young, they're seeing these products really throughout its development and giving us feedback on shape, giving us feedback on sound, and seeing firsthand what the performance looks like, so that when we bring something out to them, it's not a surprise. They're ready for that, and in most cases, they're very, very excited for that. Some of the cool facts of being able to quickly go from we introduce the product to it immediately has success. I think one of them is we've had over 80 different PGA Tour pros put TSR driver into play already. That's a huge number, right? 80.
Wow.
Right? When you think of how many players compete in week to week on the PGA
Right.
Tour. Other things that are interesting. JT Poston puts it in the very first week. He has his highest finish that he had all year. He finished second in Connecticut. What did he do the next week? He won. Right? He was our first winner with it.
That's not bad.
First 4 weeks. Yeah, exactly. The first 4 weeks that we were on tour, the leader in strokes gained off the tee was playing a TSR driver. Right? We've seen Will Zalatoris have tremendous success with it, winning, his breakthrough win on the PGA Tour. We saw Cameron Young and Cameron Smith dueling it out at the Open Championship with Cameron Smith winning. Both were playing TSR drivers, and so it's really exciting to see the uptick there. And then it's not just at the PGA Tour; it's at all levels of golf. When you look at the U.S. Am, number one driver, U.S. Women's Am, number one driver, and so it's fun to see that at every level of golf, people that are being exposed to TSR are getting great results. And I think we saw it on your videos as we've given your teams a chance to start hitting some of these products once they get their fitting tools. They're picking up significant ball speeds, significant distance increases, and that's why everybody's moving this driver.
Right. Yeah. And then that's another kind of a tease, if you will, for what's coming soon on the YouTube channel is looking for those comparisons. We've tested TSR against both competitive brands, but also previous Titleist models, and we've definitely seen some increases there. So one question we did get here, Josh, while we still have you, we have from Eric. He's watching the stream right now. He was asking about your featured and premium shaft options in the TSR drivers and fairways, maybe a quick rundown there, and kind of specifically mentioned the 1K black and talk about that profile a little bit.
Yeah, of course. So I'll run through all the shafts because there's probably more people that are interested in this as well. And then I'll definitely get to come back to 1K black. So we have 4 featured shafts. And when we design a shaft lineup, we're looking to make sure that we can fit the majority of our golfers. So we want to have a lot of different profiles ranging from real high launch, kind of almost the high spin products, down to low launch, low spin, and everything in between. So we can make sure that we've got the right products for all of our golfers. So I'll go from lightweight to heavyweight. Sure. So starting at a 50 gram part, we've got a hazardous red CB. This is a counterbalance product, very similar to what you've seen a lot of the ping shafts, of those Ultra CB shafts. It's really good for a lot of players who don't have that much swing speed to help them launch the ball, get it high up in the air. We make that available on a 50 gram, 55 and 60 gram parts. Then you head up into Tensei AV Blue, 55 gram standard for driver. This is a great product. This has been our top selling shaft. I should mention all of our shafts are real deal shafts. If you walk onto a PGA Tour truck, you're going to find our shafts available. There's nothing that's made for or unique to Titleist. We don't believe in that. We want to make sure that everything is a real component, just like the PGA Tour players are playing. So Tensei AV Blue, great mid-launch, mid-spin shaft. It's going to fit a ton of golfers that are out there. Mm-hmm. Go up to 60 gram part. Now we're talking about hazardous black. For the last few generations, we've had hazardous black or smoke black and then smoke black RDX. And we wanted to go, let's just go back to 5th gen hazardous black. Let's really make this thing sleek. And this is going to be kind of that mid-low launch to mid-low spin. Terrific profile, a little stiffer than what we saw with the smoke products. And then you brought up Tensei 1K black. Really excited about this. We've traditionally had Tensei white or even flow white, anything kind of in the or a Diamante white in our low launch, low spin option, and that's usually 65 to 70 gram part. Again, we make a 65, 75, even 85 available here with 1K black. It is low launch, low spin, but the profile is really nice. It does not feel boring, so I'm very excited for people to go in and try this. The reason it's black and not white is the actual Tensei 1K white is a mid-launch, mid-spin part. And we've got fitters all across the country, and I promise you there's no way we could convince all of them for the last 10 years that the white part was low launch, low spin, but now it's mid-launch, mid-spin. So we asked them, we're like, hey, we need a part that's truly low launch, low spin. And they worked to develop this 1K black that I think is going to do incredibly well in all of your bays. And I've heard that Cameron Young is actually going to be playing that as he tees it up at his next event, which I think is what's it's come. So very excited.
Pretty good stamp of approval right there.
Yeah. If you've seen him swing and the ball speeds he generates, you know that it's a really good responsive shaft. And then we also we've got a premium shaft program with our friends at Graphite Design. We believe that Graphite Design makes some of the best shafts in the world. They use high-end materials, very similar to how we use high-end materials. And so we've partnered with them to offer 3 different shafts at a $200 upcharge. And that's the DI, that's the bright orange one that you're familiar with seeing, the IZ, and now the UB, which is blue. We think that gives us a great option for some players who are looking for something a little bit more exotic and a little bit higher end from a premium standpoint without having to break the bank.
Wow. Yeah. So there's, you kind of covered, right? You get your high launching shafts, you got your mid launching shafts, you got your low launching shafts, you're covering all the profiles kind of just in the same way that all the TSR heads do, where there's going to be an option for, essentially any type of golf or any type of swing that might be out there and interested in, essentially hitting, higher, faster, longer, straighter tee shots or fairway wood shots as well. So clearly Titleist has kicked it out of, or I guess hit it out of the park here. I guess, or Josh, we don't really want to keep you much longer. I know today is a very busy day for you and you're running around all over the place today. So we appreciate you spending a half hour with us here today. And we'll let you go. But once again, Josh, thank you so much for your time today. And we'll keep you updated on the fittings, but we already got a bunch scheduled today, so we're really excited about it here.
That's great. Yeah, I would just encourage everybody again, go get fit for this. I tell everyone that calls me and says, hey, what driver should I play, or what setup should I play with my shaft and everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I will tell them what I think is right, and that they'll get a really, really good driver doing that. But you will get a great driver if you spend an hour with a really good fitter. And you guys are some of the best. We love the partnership we've got going on with everything with Second Swing. And so I would encourage anyone watching this, book appointment, get it done now, get in early, and we'll get that driver to you. Especially if you're in Minnesota, let's make this happen before the snow comes.
Right. Oh yeah. Us Minnesotans are passionate about golf, despite having 5-6 months of the year covered in snow. So we're all very excited. Yeah. Oh yeah. You're very familiar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Drew. It was great seeing everybody, and have an awesome day. Good luck to everybody who's going to get fit today, and everybody who hasn't had a chance to book one. Let's make it happen.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh, and thanks for all you guys do for golf over at Titleist. We'll do this again, sure, I'm soon. So have a good one today, Josh. All right. Well, that was awesome to have Josh on the channel. And so with that said, we can kind of transition to our next piece here. So chapter 2, if you will, phase 2, if you will, of the stream today. We've got Danny and we've got Thomas with us today. Fitters, of course. If you've seen the channel, watched the channel at all, you guys are very familiar with Thomas and Danny. They're going to join today, and we're going to talk more about TSR and answer your questions, answer your comments, and kind of, first of all, a lot of content that we've got coming to the YouTube channel here soon. I want to talk to both of you guys about the testing that you guys have done. Thomas, we'll start with you, hitting the shots quite a bit over the last couple weeks here, if you will, for TSR. First takeaways immediately. What do you think about, let's go with the drivers, TSR 2, 3, and 4. What is your immediate takeaways from hitting those?
Yeah, I would say, ball speed retention and spin retention on shots that I don't quite catch solid, been really impressive. Yeah. So standard deviation numbers have been very, very small when I've been testing. Catch a little on the toe, catch a little on the heel. That speed retention's been excellent, or that spin retention's been excellent there too. The TSR2 kind of surprised me. I think you mentioned it earlier in the video, how I almost thought it was a 3 in my hands at one point. Yeah. I think you might have called it a TSR 2.5. Yeah. Or almost like it's a 2.5, but it really is. It's like a combination of the 2 and the 3. So that, I really kind of like the shape of the 2, and I think it's going to get a lot of love out of those traditional golfers that like more of that, pear-shaped look for a driver.
Yeah. And Danny, we also did some hitting. So there's a video coming soon where actually myself and Danny both do some hitting on the driver, the fairways. So specifically, I don't want to give away too much of what's coming on the channel, but the TSR2 driver versus the TSI2 versus TS2, 917 D2. You're able to hit those and test them. So give us what you thought on that feedback. we don't have to give away the whole video, but definitely some performance gains were had, and we saw some improvements from previous Titleist models to the new TSR2.
Yeah. So before I jump into my feedback, remember when Thomas was hitting those drivers out at Bolstad?
Yeah.
We actually had to be backed up on
that's
the
right,
range.
yeah.
I wanted to throw that in there too.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because my ball doesn't go nearly as far. So getting into my feedback now, things were great. I loved the feel, especially in the fairway wood.
Yeah.
That's really intriguing to me. As far as the driver, you'll have to wait for the video for those results, but definitely saw some big gains. I've seen great things from TSR already. Like Thomas said, the spin retention, that's the number one thing I'm interested in, is what's going to happen when the player misses.
Right.
And TSR has delivered every single time
Yep.
in every single category to date. So guys, definitely check out those videos for more great content with TSR.
Yeah, you got the swing reports up there now, both the drivers and the fairways. We did some initial testing. All three of us are actually in those videos. We also got a good comment on Danny's pants, red pants. Danny's always looking fly. So did want to invite anybody watching here, if you have questions, have comments, have anything, feel free to drop them in the chat. We've got two of the experts here with us today on TSR. We've done our testing on them. One thing mentioned here from Eric is he asked about any chance of a lefty 7-wood option coming in the spring. I don't believe 7-wood is part
18
of,
degrees is
18
high.
degrees, right,
You could loft that up a
which you can loft
degree
it up.
and a half.
Yeah. But I think one thing Titleist did make sure to do this year, which I think is good on them, is every club is for sure offered in at least one, and many of them are offered in multiple lofts, left-handed. So making sure they have to balance that out between how many golfers are actually left-handed, but also not leaving those lefties completely in the dust there. So they've done a really good job with that this year, and I think TSR will be a hit. And like they said, they're trying to hit every single golfer, and so that's one way they're doing it.
Yeah, Eric had a couple more questions earlier on in the feed there. I think we specifically want to get Josh to ask, but I think Danny, I think you know a decent amount about the UB shaft, right? I think there's a question about the line with the Graphite Design UB now in the mix. Right. And then also the Tensai, the 1K shaft. What can you tell me about maybe those shafts there?
I think Josh did great at kind of talking about the Tensai, the 1K black, when Drew asked him about that one. But the Graphite Design UB, I've seen really, really positive things in the fairway woods for sure. Very easy to launch, smoother feel. Especially coming out of the Graphite Design XC, so the extra carry, a shaft you're familiar with, right? Something very, very stable, a little more firm kind of in the middle section with the XC. Now that kind of, it's not, I don't want to say soft, but not as stable in the middle section. So it'll enhance the feel a little bit. Still very, very stout and stable down at the tip, so you'll have plenty of control there. But what's going to change is the feel and when you load that golf shaft. So I've seen good things in the fairway woods. Driver, I'm sure is going to be very good as well.
Yeah.
So
good. I think we can let's try this out. Let's try some testing. So that's what a lot of people like to see. I know we've had some technical difficulties in this area, so we're not going to promise that the testing works super smoothly, but we want to at least try it because the people love to see Mr. Thomas Campbell hit the bombs. So we're going to start and fire up TrackMan here, get some warm up for Thomas, and in the meantime, again, if you guys do have comments, questions, we'll be sure to answer those.
And then if we do have any technical issues here while we're firing up TrackMan, also make sure you pay attention to our swing report videos. We also have some more comparison videos coming very, very soon on the channel. But the driver video and the fairway wood video on TSR went up this morning. So make sure you check those out. You can obviously get some testing numbers on there right off the bat, and some pretty impressive numbers.
That Thomas was able to put together, but this was, they were the next level. So
it was really, really good. Yeah. All right, 350 carry from Thomas. Not quite. I need to get that club speed faster.
Auto flex at 48, maybe.
Yeah, a little less loud, and but yeah, let's get warmed up at least a little bit.
Okay.
See, get warmed up. TrackMan hopefully will get warmed up. swing a few iron swings here first while we get the machine going. And for testing, our goal was to hit driver TSR 2, 3, and 4 with the 9-degree head. I think we've got the Tensai black one cash out here to test with. So.
Do we want to grab the UB?
I think our stream may have froze a little bit there as we tried that. So it looks like the TrackMan was overflowing the computer a little bit. So we won't have the testing, unfortunately, today. We'll maybe try it in a little bit, but unfortunately, it was overflowing us a little bit. But so we'll work on it. But in the meantime, we can move on and talk a little bit about some more of the testing from TSR. Specifically, let's go to the fairway woods because I know like we tested those in here, and Thomas, you're not I wouldn't say you're not good at hitting fairway woods, but I know it's something in your bag that you struggle with.
I mean, you're onto something there. Fairway woods are not my favorite thing to hit, and a lot of it comes down to attack angle. If my attack angle is too far hitting up on it, it's harder to hit, harder to control. So, but yeah, they're pretty. I really liked hitting the plus. Yeah, because I could tee it up a little bit and it'd be like a driver.
You were hitting that. I think you comfortably got over 300 yards a few times with the plus, and so now that club, as Josh was mentioning too, we should kind of talk about the golfer that can play that club, because Danny, I know, was talking to me about potentially putting TSR 2 Plus in the bag as a driver. So, because you can loft that down a little bit too, even, right? So, and again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot and put you like, is Danny, are you gonna put it in the bag, But talk to us about maybe what you're thinking about there and why TSR 2 Plus could be a potential driver for you in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, what really impressed me, like Thomas was saying initially there, with attack angle on fairway woods, right? I struggle with them too. You'll see that in the video a little bit. But what I was really impressed with is Titleist center of gravity this year. It's the lowest ever put in a Titleist fairway wood. So what does that do? It helps get the ball up, which is why the 2 Plus is now come to fruition, because they have all that weight there. But for a player like me that swings up at about 2.83 degrees, it's hard for me to get the ball airborne. But you'll see in that video that Drew and I did as well, that it was easy to launch. I think I still got 250 carry out of it, which is big for me. Big for me.
Right.
So now it's with 15 degrees. Adding, going to 13 might be able to get me out to 285. Right? And for tracks around here, that's all I need.
Oh, I know.
And I've been struggling with the driver a little bit. I have been. So.
Well, you're very much an upward attack angle, kind of play that draw, and the fact that you're able to launch, especially the 13-degree club, and make sure you get it up in the air, right? That's probably the challenge with the 3-wood that's lofted strong like that. But get it up in the air and get it out there and see that draw come into fruition, and it's not kind of diving out of there, if you will. That was cool to see on, from my perspective, to see you kind of, then I could see the gears spinning a little bit. You're like, oh, this could be interesting, in the bag a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we do some kind of content series about like making a bomber, or how good can we make that for me or for Thomas or for you.
I like this. We're talking ideas. And that's the best part. So got a question from Mike here, talking about just feel and sound. Compare those, TSR versus TSI.
Big difference.
Yeah.
The TSR is quite a lot quieter.
You think so?
Yeah. I think it's a lot, I especially notice it come more outside. I noticed when I was hitting the drivers, they seemed quieter, even compared to, we're talking about versus TSI or that, but like even compared to other manufacturers. I think, we've got a video coming up here soon, a comparison where we compared similar gen models, and the sound was quite different.
It was. Yeah, it was very, very good. I wouldn't put it to kind of the fully loaded carbon heads yet. I don't think it's that quiet. But from TSI, definitely a lot quieter, especially in the off-center hits for me are definitely a lot quieter too. So you still get a lot of good feedback. feel off the face, has that been any different for you? Softer, firmer?
Do you have
about
that,
the same?
the score lines. Danny did
Scoring
mention the
lines.
score lines, those are different. That's one thing Danny noticed right away.
If you go back to the 917, there were 5 scoring lines on each side of the head.
Yep.
Then you go into the TS family, there's 4, and now we're down to 3. So it's kind of condensing it and really highlighting the middle area of that head. So for players that struggle with alignment, this could definitely be a huge win for them. Getting the eye to focus in on that. They also made the sweet spot this year a little bit darker overall too. So you'll notice that from the TSI to TSR. It just illuminates that face a little bit more. And also gives you great feedback when you're practicing too.
Right.
You'll see that ball mark right away on the face and be able to kind of show where you struck it. So
they're
good.
That was, the scoring lines thing. We were when Josh stopped in and was presenting, and that was only something that you would probably notice right away. That was the first thing that you jumped out, like, oh, it went from 4 to 3 scoring lines on here, and I was like, yeah, that's a good observation, Danny. But so I think what we're gonna do, since we are unable to test today, unfortunately, we'll start kind of wrapping up a little bit here, kind of give maybe some final thoughts, and then we'll ask the chat if they have any more questions, any more comments. Please present them now. Unfortunately, we will be working on this, and we'll get the testing up and running here in the future. Just the computer here is fried right now with we've had a lot of fittings going on and things overloaded. So, final thoughts here, as today is the big day for fittings. I'll kind of go and maybe give some key takeaways for golfers to look forward to when they maybe come in for their TSR fitting. Thomas, we'll start with you.
Right. I think, drivers these days, there's limitations on how fast the ball can come off the club face, but just somehow Titleist is they've just snuck out just a little bit more ball spin. I think it's that retention off the face there, where you don't quite catch in the middle, but you still get a 148, you still get a 149 smash factor, and that's what impresses me with the new TSR lines.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Very, very forgiving across the head. My thing is, how is this driver going to affect this year's play, next year's play? Can it grow with you? Yeah, it's one of the few drivers that you can adjust lie angle without adjusting loft. So that's a big win, especially if you're making swing changes and 9 degrees is the right loft for you. Then we can play east and west on the sure fit household adjustment and get that player dialed in, not only now, but down the road too. So that's one thing I really love about Titleist.
Yeah, you guys in the fitting aspect, I'm sure, is where you got your guys' mind is going. I just want to reiterate the looks, and I think that's something I've been harping on. Danny's like kind of his little scoring lines thing is what he's talking about. The look on the sole of the club is what gets me. They really, really cleaned that up, and I think it's really true. Like what Josh said about it looking like a Tesla. Kind of does.
Right.
It kind of has that look, and it's way cleaner than previous Titleist drivers. This is the 4 here, way cleaner, and I think there's definitely something there in terms of the aerodynamics. Making that kind of reducing that drag on the downswing, giving you just a touch. It's fractional, but a little bit more club speed that can increase your potential distance and open up more possibilities because of that. So. With that said, I think we're going to start wrapping up here, guys. Unfortunately, not testing today, but so much testing on the channel.
There is a lot.
Tons of TSR testing on the channel will be coming your way, so stay tuned for that. Even more today, actually, on the YouTube channel, we'll have a couple more videos comparing the Titleist drivers released today, the TSRs, against TSI TS 917, where myself and Danny are hitting some shots, giving feedback, seeing some pretty big differences on TrackMan. So, golfers, thanks for tuning in today. We also want to thank Josh again for joining. If you haven't seen that yet and joined late, make sure you go to the beginning of the video. We talked with Josh Talge from Titleist. Also, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and again, stay tuned. All the videos are coming today and the next few weeks. TSR, big one for us here at Second Swing. We'll see you next time on the channel.